All right. Welcome back to another episode of Embrace Your Brand. I have an exciting guest today. Her name is Amy Traugh, and she is getting ready to launch a book. I think when this comes out, her book will officially be launched. She has a podcast, The Motivated CEO. Her book is The CEO Method, and I'm just so excited to have you on the show today as a guest. I think so much of you. You're super sweet. You're just so helpful. Like you just really want to help women and help them thrive with growing a business, being a mom, doing all the things. So just go ahead and take this moment to introduce yourself to my audience so they can get to know you as well.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. The feeling is mutual, right back at you with all the things. You're just such an incredible person as well, and just truly edify like women supporting women in this wild world of entrepreneurship. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Amy Traugh. As Laura said, I am a podcast host, I am a business strategist, and I'm now able to call myself an author, which is still like surreal to me. I actually come from a background in healthcare. I was one of those box checkers. I'm still a recovering box checker. I thought I had my life figured out, went to school, graduated college, got the degree, had the license, got married, had kids, and just merely existing, going through life on autopilot. It's not that I was miserable, but, I just really didn't feel fulfilled. And it wasn't until the year 2020, there was something that kind of like affected us all in different ways that happened during that year, during the spring. I think everybody's familiar with it. So
Yeah.
the pandemic happened, and that's when I finally, for the first time in my life, had the time to stop and pause and reflect like, what do I really want out of my life? And it was at that moment that I knew the life that I was living was no longer aligned. And it was a lot of, introspective, like reflection and doing the inner work and really just taking messy action in order to build and design a life that I just love waking up to every single day. So here I am now. I have all these crazy titles at the end of my name. I'm like, how did that happen? But it happened because not because I'm like anybody special. I'm just like you. If you're listening to this, like I am just like you. But what I did is I gave myself permission to be a beginner again. I gave myself permission to try to take that messy action, just keep taking the next step after the next step after the next step. So if you are listening to this, please know like I'm right there with you. I am just figuring it out as I go, taking that messy action and building a life that I love.
Yeah, I think that's so key. A lot of the things that you mentioned is, when you get that time to pause, to take a break, and some of us have to be forced into that
Yeah.
pause.
Yeah.
I remember 2020 for our family, I was already just a stay-at-home mom at the time, dabbling in some other little things. I didn't have anything that I was going to for a regular job, but just having this kind of shutdown and even having my husband home with me more was like, wow, I didn't realize how busy he had gotten. He was like, this is weird, like just being home all the time and not having to go. I was like, it's actually good for us because we reconnected in so many great ways of like just spending more time together, spending time with the family. And as you were talking about, this was a period for you to really discover who you are, what you wanted to do, realizing that what you were doing wasn't aligned. I don't even know if I knew you were in healthcare before this, but like, that's a big shift when you go from healthcare
Yeah.
to I'm going to just go into business of my own and help others do that too. It's sometimes a big shift, but at the end of the day, I think when you can realize what are the things that you are passionate about? What are the things you're just drawn to? And like in healthcare, you're caring for people, you're helping them problem solve and work through issues and helping them find solutions. You're doing the same thing in the business world. We
Yeah.
all have those problems and things that we come up against, and whether it's actual strategy issues or mindset issues or workflows or income or whatever it is, we're right there in it with each other at the end of the day of like, okay, I have problems, you have problems, we're all just trying to help each other solve those. And I think that that is something wonderful that you're doing. I know you put so much content on your podcast to help with so many different things. I see like every week when your email comes out of like, here's what happened on the podcast recently and the guests that you have, which is absolutely amazing. And then now your book that is going to step people through this method. Go ahead and talk about what is this CEO method that you have?
Yes. So the CEO method is a framework. It is a framework that I saw emerge in working with clients over and over and over. And there were really these three steps that systematically we put into place that would help business owners stop juggling all of the things and promote themselves to CEO. So, step one is really starting with that clarity. Like you said, we're spending our lives being busy, right? We're
Mm,
so busy that we have lost sight as to what it is that we truly want, not just for our personal lives, but for our business as well, for our careers, whatever that may be. We're constantly consuming. So, what ends up happening is we end up adopting others' goals as our own. So, step one is really getting to the root of what do you want? And it doesn't matter what that looks like. It breaks my heart in the online space to see women that, if they're not hitting a 10K month, that they're like, there must be something wrong with me. But the
mhm,
reality is, what do you want? When you know what it is that you want, it acts like your GPS. Because what do you have to do if you're going on vacation? You start with your GPS and you put in your destination. Well, based off of where you are now and where you want to go, that GPS calculates the most efficient route to get you from point A to point B. And along the way, there may be some detours, and that's okay. And if you start to veer off track, it'll reroute you as you go. So the same thing is true with clarity. You need that clarity in order to help you collapse time and get to your destination faster. So that is step one. That's the C of the CEO method.
nice. I love that. It's such a critical part. I think if you do not get that clarity at the beginning or at least keep it along the way, then it's so easy to trickle off. You lose
Mhm.
that momentum, you lose that excitement for what you're doing. You kind of just you get lost in everything. Just like when you were talking about with the GPS, you put in your destination. If you don't put in a destination and you're just wanting to travel somewhere, there's
Yeah.
no telling what road you're going to take. And so that same thing is true for us when we're diving into doing a business or we're just hitting that next step of life of like, what am I wanting to do with my time, with my energy, getting clarity around any of that is such a big and important step to take. It's like, do not skip this step. The rest of them won't matter if you don't get number one figured
Right.
out. And
Right. Exactly.
it
It's
might take
so
time.
right. Exactly. It takes time and it's so simple yet so complicated because the world is so noisy. So we have to intentionally quiet the noise. And that starts, in very simple ways. I'm not saying you need to go on a secluded retreat by yourself for a month. No, that's not realistic. Start by taking the notifications off of your phone. Start by turning off the noise and intentionally go for a walk without your AirPods in. Start to just live in the moment. One of my favorite sayings is be where your feet are. Be present. And a lot of times you'll start to notice those thoughts in your head. And that can get a little bit uncomfortable. I think a lot of times we numb ourselves because we don't like those thoughts. So what do? We consume, we fill our heads with noise and we lose sight of clarity. So clarity is key. That is step one.
Yeah.
Step two, we are establishing systems and automations. And I know the word systems makes so many people shudder, but systems give you freedom.
Mm.
That's what creates a sustainable business. And this just doesn't have to be systems within your business. This can be systems within your life. How are we working more efficiently? How are we reducing the number of decisions that we have to make throughout the day? Because let's face it, especially as a mom, decision fatigue is a real thing. So when you're constantly having to worry about, okay, what's for dinner? Where do the kids need to go? What's going on? Those systems really give us that freedom because now we're not having to worry about the little trivial decisions. But the caveat to this is that different systems work for different people. So that's why when you have clarity and you know exactly what you want and how you function, you can leverage systems to your advantage because systems and structure give you freedom. And then in our business, we can use this because now we develop systems to collect data. And when we use data to drive our decisions, then we're not putting ourselves down if we have a low month. We look at the data and we go, oh, okay, business is always going to have an ebb and a flow to it. And trend that data over time and you see, oh, okay, this month is usually a low month, but then next month I have a really high month. So then we can get really curious and go, okay, what am I doing during those months where I am reaching my goals? How can I double down and create more consistent income? So, establishing systems and automations are so key. And automations, even if you are not techie, there are so many little things you can do on the back end of your business. One of my favorite programs is Zapier. It lets two different platforms talk to one another. So, take, for example, my payment processor. When someone completes an order through my payment processor, then they go into a specific group in my email list. And if I want to take it a step further, then I can even put them on a spreadsheet to make sure I follow up and say, hey, how did you like this? Or, how are things going? And really just making life easier. So
Yeah.
that's step two.
That's awesome. I love that have that as step 2 because I mean, really, once you have that clarity, it's action time. It's time to take action. It's time to establish, what kind of system, what kind of operations are going to really work for you. And this is something that I really try to help my clients with is just getting them to the point where they understand what do they have as their working pieces. Get that clarity of like, what are the things that are working really well? What do you enjoy doing? That's a big part, I think, is what do you enjoy doing
Yes.
that you want to spend your time on? What are those things you kind of keep putting off and procrastinating that you just don't put time to? Do we need to automate those? Do we need to delegate those? Or do we need to just find a way to take those completely off the workload? I
Right.
have things like that too, where I just got to the point of like, I really don't like this part. I procrastinate on it. I don't get to it, but I know it's really important for people to see. So, like the things that go on my social media, the podcast clips, I don't do the podcast cast clips. I have someone else who creates those for me, and that saves me so much time because I'm not worried about after I've already recorded, I've got the show notes, I've got it uploaded to the platform. I'm like, now people need to see it in other places. Having someone to come in and help or figure out what that system is to better operate and keep things going smoothly. So, like you said, you're not frazzled. You're not like wondering, what do I do now? What do I do here? How do I get dinner done and take care of, these emails and all that stuff? Having a good system and a good strategy it is going to help you no matter what, and catering it to what really works best for you. If you're not into, I don't like extensive spreadsheets and all this stuff because it's overwhelming, don't go that route. You know,
Exactly.
that's where you have boundaries and choice. If it's your business, you have a choice of how you operate it. I have tried multiple different platforms that are to help run the back end. And I tried them for a couple of months and realized this doesn't fit me. I actually have my own little bitty Trello board that I use for keeping up with my podcasts. And I have my Google Docs or my Google Drive to house them in there. I'm like, this is really all I need. And I can work within that because I've created my own system, my own
Yes.
strategy. And I'm like, by all means, let's figure out yours. Literally with a client not that long ago, she was stressed about by the time I get other things done and taking care of my family, she's like, I don't even know what to do for content. thinking I have to sit down and come up with something. She's like, it just exhausts me. She's like, it's so much quicker if I show up in my story and do a quick recording and speak directly to my ideal client, tell them what's going on, help them out. And I was like, what if you just didn't post anything for the rest of the month? How would that feel? She's like, she was almost kind of afraid to. But I was like, but you're still showing up. You're still being somewhere where people can see you. You're getting a lot more engagement that way. So we were looking like, what's your metrics? What's your engagement? What's your response look like? And then she got back to me after a day or so. She's like, thank you so much. I feel so liberated. Like this freedom is great. I'm like, well, good. I'm like, if you post content because you want to, that's a bonus. You're not posting because you feel like you have to. You don't have to stick to this content calendar we originally thought would be a great idea. If it's bogging you down, don't do it. Do what feels really
Exactly.
good and aligned for you. She's like, okay, this feels really good. Like, good. That's what we want. We need your good energy into the content you're putting out there and how you're reaching people. That's what matters.
Oh my gosh, I could not agree more. And I love how you said, we have a choice. Yes, we have a choice and we get to choose. That's the really cool part
Mm.
about being an entrepreneur. The hard part is figuring out, okay, what's going to work best for you. And once you figure that out, that creates that sustainable business because now your energy isn't sucked, the life isn't sucked out of you because we're doing all of the things. We're very strategic about what we're doing. And I love Trello boards as well. And I actually use them for my standard operating procedures and workflows. And I go back and look at them regularly and see, oh, you know what? I'm finding that I'm doing this task over and over and over. And the really cool thing with AI is there's always new technology rolling out that is automating things for us. So, what I can do then is use that data to go, okay, I'm doing this task over and over and over. Is there an automation that can help me with that? So,
Mhm.
really having everything mapped out visually helps me identify those hidden opportunities to leverage technology for me. And the wonderful thing, too, is that we are living in a world where there's literally YouTube videos out there and Google like information galore. We can research anything. We can find the solutions, but the key is you have to implement them. You have to take the time to really zoom out and look at that big picture to find those hidden opportunities.
Yeah. And like you said, with finding things online, there's always something that can teach you or show you how to do
Yeah.
something. And I think it really is important to remember that it needs to align with what you have clarity on.
Yes.
If you're thinking and researching a system that could be really great for what you're doing, but it doesn't align with maybe how you want to interact with your clients, with your community, or in the way you want to operate, you have that choice to decide, that clarity that you have on what you're doing and how you're reaching out and bringing that brand awareness. You get to decide if this is going to be in alignment with that. I think this is such a key part of the brand structure is that, how you're bringing awareness to it and how you're interacting speaks a lot of volume as to, your longevity, how people perceive you. You're a systems person. You help people with systems. So yeah, if you're talking about researching a new system, taking that time to learn it and to implement it, that's great for you because you are teaching and showing by example the things that you help entrepreneurs with. Whereas someone who doesn't do that, does not like systems, and they're like, "I'm having to implement this new system, and I don't really like it, and I don't understand it." It's like, "Okay, well, if you're trying to help people make wise decisions in your business, this is not looking good for you." And so you I think for me, I really try to keep that in mind of, am I practicing what I preach? Am I showing off the things that I really wanna help people to do? Like moms in business, I really wanna just help you enjoy it, not dread. I have to get these tasks done. If you're dreading it, something's wrong. We need to work with that because your brand image is important. You're making a name for yourself. And so that's important with whatever systems you choose for the back end, how you operate, how you market, all of that's important when it comes into your brand. bringing awareness to it. And like you're talking about, just, you got to establish some things and start taking action, even if it's messy. It's messy. I've tried things and did not like it, and it was messy, and I'm like, "I'm going back." And I was even upfront with the clients I had. I was like, "Okay, you're gonna see emails from somewhere different, but now we're gonna go back to how this was." I'm like, I just told them up front, "I am trying things, and I want you to know so you're not thrown off a loop of like, where did this come from? This is not normal. Is this from you? Is this not from you?" It's good to keep your clients on that journey with you of what am I doing that's new? So that way they can know as well. So that's kind of a little side note in there.
Yeah, I mean, we evolve as business owners. As our business evolves, our systems and automations evolve with us, plus,
Mhm.
as technology evolves. So it's okay. It's all about trying to figure out what is going to help me versus hinder me on this journey. And it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. It can be as simple or as complex as you want. But like you said, Laura, like it's all about alignment. It's about finding what feels good for you, what works for you, and what uh, makes you able to do the things you love to do within your business more efficiently.
Yeah, because
So,
even if you had a CRM, you don't have to have an online that keeps up with all these
right.
little details. If you want your CRM to be a notebook with your
Mhm.
with the names written down of people you've contacted with, I'm like, do you?
Right.
Do you?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. I love this conversation.
Me
And
too.
then
We're on
getting
the same
into,
page here.
right, we
It's great.
totally are.
Yeah.
Getting into step 3, organic marketing and sales. So you have this awesome product or service, but how are we moving from follower to buyer? And this is really important as a business owner to take the time to map out this process. Because when you make the time to do this, it becomes easier. You see those opportunities. So, first, how are we getting seen? How are people becoming aware of our product or service? How are we getting in front of the right people? This is something that I see all the time. Everyone's doing things because they think they should, because they think that they're popular. Let's take social media, for instance. Social media may not be the best marketing mechanism for your business, depending on what it is. For other businesses, absolutely. But getting seen is just one piece of the puzzle. So now that you've gotten seen, how are you then converting these followers and bringing them into your world on a list that you own? Because the reality is, we don't own our social media account. So if we're putting all of our eggs into one basket, what happens if that platform shuts down? I mean, look right now, there's all this uncertainty with TikTok. We don't know
Mhm.
what the future of TikTok's going to be. We don't have as much control of these platforms as we'd like to think. So that's why it's important to diversify. And this doesn't mean that you have to create new content for every single platform. And Laura, this is your zone of genius. So with all the content, start to repurpose. Get curious, dive into that data, dive into those analytics and see what people are responding to you. That is a gold mine of information that's right in front of us that we forget about, to
Yeah.
open up those social analytics and see what are people liking, what are people commenting on, what's getting high engagement rates, what's getting shared out. Use that data and repurpose your long form content. If you have something like a podcast, break it down. Use that for social media, use that for other platforms, use that for your email content. You don't have to constantly reinvent the wheel.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
then once they're on a list that you own, then we're just going to nurture. We're just going to continue to show up, provide value, be top of mind so that when we are ready to present a solution, because I view sales as a solution, sales does not have to be sleazy. You're just presenting an invitation for the solution that they need. That's all. We're not doing the cold DM pitch. Hey, buy my thing. I'm the greatest ever. Like, wait, who are you? People buy from people, right? We need to build that know, like, and trust because let's face it, in the online space, a lot of people have gotten burned. People are very skeptical in the online space, and rightfully so. So we want to make sure to build that relationship so that when we do present the offer, it's an easy, yeah, you know what? You're the right person to work with me, and vice versa, that they're an aligned client for you.
Mhm.
And then our last piece of the puzzle within this organic marketing and sales strategy is retention. So often I work with clients that don't have any type of retention process. Okay, when someone's done working with you, how are we keeping them in your world? How are we continuing this relationship? Even something like a referral program is huge. Absolutely huge. I looked at my analytics from last year. The majority of my business comes from retention and referrals. So we don't always have to be chasing more. Let's serve the people that are already in our world, already in our ecosystem. Because then what happens is it's a ripple effect. When someone asks for a recommendation, hey, Amy, who do you recommend for content? Who do you recommend for social media, graphics creation? Guess what? Laura's top of mind because I've worked with her before. I've got that know, like, trust factor. I know that she delivers what she says she's going to do. So let's not forget about that.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the absolute best ways to market is that referral system, the retention of clients, because like you said, you've already built that know, like, and trust. And it's your warmest, your hottest market. You don't
Yeah.
have to be like, I need more followers in order to get more clients. No, you can reach out to a lot of people that you already know. And I have had, one client I worked with kind of early on in my business, and she has sent me several referrals because when she comes across someone who needs something done that I can do, she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna. Is it okay if I share your number? Is it okay if I share your Instagram?" I was like, "Yes, absolutely." It's great to get to know other people. You've kind of already got that leg up of trust with them because someone that they know and trust has referred you to them. And so it's kind of going back to that old fashioned word of mouth marketing
Yeah.
that it's never going to die. It's the absolute best form of marketing is when you can do that and get word of mouth. My dad, he owns a business and has owned it for 30 plus years, and that's really how he's grown. I'm like, I don't think they've ever really paid for any type of advertising or marketing. It's always been word of mouth marketing, and it's worked very well for them. So, when you can find ways to incorporate that in your business, like if you're new, it's not a problem to reach out to people that you just know, whether they're in your market or not. Be like, hey, just know what it is that I do. Know how you could potentially share me with somebody else. You have friends and family, I'm sure, that adore you and be like, oh yeah, I'll definitely help you out if any way that I can. But even just working, I think, pro bono stuff to begin with, so people can see if you're service based, like, can I just give you, this small little service package or do some trade-off work. I have a girl that I've been doing some trade-off stuff with. She's been doing some work for me, and I've been doing some work for her to help her with her strategy on her business. And one of the things was I kept asking her is, are you collecting names and emails? Like, are you collecting something where you can eventually follow up with them, even if you don't have an email list right now? Go ahead, and when you do something for them, whether it's free or paid, I was like, get their name, get their email, just start making your own list so that when you have that space to nurture them, that's not on a social media platform or something owned by somebody else, that you can start going back and just sharing what it is that you do, kind of keeping yourself top of mind with them, just like you were talking about. And I think that's such a great way because we sometimes think, it's either organic or paid. And if you're not in a position to have paid marketing, then, don't worry about it. There's so much, like you said, that you can do with organic marketing. And truly, I do believe it's some of the best. You have to work a little harder with the paid advertising because you're getting people that have no clue who you are. They've not met anybody who knows you. You have to work really hard on that content to build that know, like, and trust with
Yeah.
them. And so it's a whole different ball game. I've actually been looking at that type of marketing with a local radio station. They do social media mirroring. And it's like, okay, I could see how this could work because I can be in front of a lot of people. There can be a lot of impressions per day, but I'm thinking my content has to be at this level to actually help create some conversion because I have to build that know, like, and trust quicker and with people that have no idea who they are, you know?
Right.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it really, I feel like organic marketing shortens that sales cycle, especially with word of mouth, because exactly as you said, that know, like, and trust factor is already there. We put so much more weight on the credibility of someone else giving us a referral or a recommendation. I mean, think about it. If you were going to hire someone to do something to your house, are you going to just randomly Google without looking at the reviews and just choose someone? Or are you going to ask your friends on Facebook, like, hey, who do you guys recommend for this? Because I need this done. I would much rather go with someone that has been referred to me than just pick a random stranger on the internet. And I've played around with paid marketing, paid ads before too. And what I found is that it doesn't always attract the most aligned clients. And it can be a very costly endeavor depending on the stage of business that you're at. So you have to go about it very strategically. And I've even seen this with a lot of my peers. The conversion rate on the organic marketing is much higher than those cold leads because, again, we're starting from someone that's cold, that has no clue who you are, that hasn't yet had time to sift down through that sales sequence, that sales funnel. That nurture sequence is what we should really call it, because we're
mhm.
not being slimy. Sales doesn't have to be gross and icky and like used car salesman or furniture salesman where you walk in and it's like, whoa. Like,
Yeah.
listen, I'm just here for a mattress. Like, I'll let you know when I need help. But like right now, I don't need you. Please go away. You know, we've
Yeah.
all had really bad experiences like that. And I think that's why so many people are off put with the idea of sales. But at the end of the day, it's just about providing that solution to someone else. It's about being of service. They have a problem, you have the solution. Hey, we're just bridging the gap with the
Mhm.
offer.
Yeah, and it's about that relationship
Right.
aspect. It's really hard to build
Absolutely.
a relationship with someone in, like, 7 seconds online, and they've only seen a
Not
small piece
realistic.
of you. It's like, "Well, okay." That's like, talking to someone in the checkout line about weather. You
Right.
don't really get to know each other, but
Right.
if you connect on other things, you know, when we're talking about the organic marketing, that's kind of the best thing. And if you really like, you probably will agree with this, I'm sure, is when you look at your business and you see, okay, what your offers are, kind of an ideal level of like how many clients you need. For most of us to run our business and to be pretty successful and have a decent income, we probably don't need that many clients. If they're
Right.
coming in at a certain level, it's like, I might only need five. Could I easily know 5 people that I could work with? Probably, because I probably know 100 that I could just name off the top of my head that I've been in network with or been in community with for a long time. Like me and you, Amy, we've known each other for a while now, and several others that I know that I've had on here as guests and will have soon as guests. I'm like, we've known each other for a very long time. So that referral system through them could be really great. And I don't think that it is rude or off-putting to just ask. You know,
Right.
I kind of think of the verse like asking you shall receive. If you're not
Yeah.
asking for those referrals or asking even in that sales process of would this be a good fit for you? Like would you like to trial my service? Would you like to get into this program or get into this membership or whatever it is? You can ask for the sale, and leave that up to them of yes or no, not right
Right.
now, those things. You don't be afraid to ask because you never know what opportunities are out there that are just waiting for you to simply ask.
Exactly. And if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So it is
Mhm.
so important. It's a skill, it's something that takes practice. It's still hard for me, especially to ask for, the referral, ask for the sale. But the more I do it, the easier it gets. So, just think about like riding a bike for the first time. And the first few times you did it, you fell down, you did it messy, it wasn't pretty. But then as you continue to practice, you get more proficient at it. You can ride your bike without the handlebars, holding on, and
Yeah.
you do all those fancy little things. But you had to start. You just had to take action. And that's really at the core of this. So once we really identify, the clarity, establishing those systems and automations, and then really developing a solid organic marketing and sales strategy, that's when you develop that business around your life. You
Mhm.
regain control and you finally just have the flexibility and freedom that you've wanted this whole entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so beautiful when you can piece all of that together. And just like you're talking about, you have, that clarity, you have your systems, you have a marketing strategy set up. Now it's almost like once all those things are in place, now comes the fun part.
Yes.
Like now I can really start providing those solutions for people and enjoying the relationships that build out of that. And, you know, actually taking time for the things that you love to do. If you love to do certain things with your family or have your alone time, your freedom time, it's like this is enabling you to be able to do all of that. And I think it's kind of a two-sided coin. Your business can enable you to have that time, but also as you have that time while growing your business, I think it just makes it more exciting. It's not wait until your business is at this point to do all that to get you there. It's like do it now as you're growing your business, because then when you reach that point of this is my success level or this is the level I really need income to help provide for my family or whatever it is for you, that you already have those personal systems in place, just like you have your business systems in place, because they're in place for when you scale. Your family and your personal systems need to be in place for as you grow your business too. So I think it just makes this beautiful picture of this is how we blend life and we blend business
Yeah.
together, and we just do it all while joyfully thriving and enjoying the impact that we're making.
Right. Because the joy truly is in the journey. And if you don't take the time to intentionally just embrace it, each phase of life, each season of life has its ups, it has its downs. Nothing is forever. But when you do these things, it just allows you to live a life that you love, a life where you're not just constantly chasing those shiny objects, striving for the next thing, but you really truly get to experience that joy. You see the joy in every single day. And if you're listening to this going, well, yeah, that's great, but stop. Stop making excuses and make the choice to make a change. Borrow the belief from me because if you would have told me 6, 7 years ago that I'd be here talking about a book I wrote, any of these things, I would have been like, you are absolutely crazy. So borrow the belief from me. If I can do it, so can you.
Absolutely. And I'll just second that with the whole purpose of this podcast. It's the embrace.
Yes.
Embracing your brand. That means embracing you, who you are, how you run your business, how you do things, and embracing your life as part of it. All the things that you want to do outside of your business are important as well. So you have to embrace the whole picture. And by all means, embrace yourself. You're not chasing the life you want, you're creating it right now. You're not chasing that business success, you're creating that business success right now. So, thank you so much, Amy, for being a guest today. And I'm going to let you kind of plug in where people can find your book and your podcast and anything else. Go ahead and just tell them where they can connect with you.
Sure. You can find my book on sale March 26th, The CEO Method, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Business Success. It'll be at all the online retailers, Amazon, Walmart, Barnes& and Noble, wherever you buy books, it will be available for you. You can connect with me over on Instagram at Amy Traugh. I love, love, love when people drop in my DMs and like, hey, I heard you on Laura's podcast and this was a big takeaway for me. Like literally makes my day. So if you would do that, that would be awesome. And then you can find me on my website at amytraugh.com.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure that links to those things are also in the show notes so that you guys can find them there as well and connect with Amy. Let her know what you took away from this podcast episode today. Go ahead and get her book, get a copy of that. I can't wait to get my copy. I've already started reading the first little bit of the book and am so enthused and cannot wait to pick it up again. So, thank you so much, Amy, for being here.
Thank you so much, Laura, for the opportunity. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.